He is the #1 branch manager. He's a current student. He's running office for the summer. He's going back to school. And he's here to tell you about his branch manager opportunity. Let's bring him up from Concord, Mr. Daniel Taylor!
Okay.
Dan Taylor, ladies and gentlemen!
There's no like thing on the podium to stop my papers from sliding off. And anyway, I started on June 3rd, 2006. This was my first division meeting. How many of you again? First division meeting right now? That's cool. We're not gonna clap. I'm here to talk about the branch manager opportunity because I love the branch position. Enjoyed it so much the first time. I'm doing it again this summer. Here's what it is. Next summer, a handful of people in this room are going to be running their own office just for a summer, so it doesn't interfere with school or with studying, or if you're like me, it would interfere with school because you should be taking summer classes. But yeah, it's exciting because, like, is anyone from near anyone near Salem, New Hampshire? Like, that could be your office next summer. Like, your territory is Salem, New Hampshire. What would you want your territory to be? Where would you want to put an office? Some of you are like, my hometown. That's a bad idea. Then you're always around your friends. You party too much. Well, I would. So what it is, you interview people, hire people, run a training seminar once a week, PDI, run meetings. That's my favorite part, is running the meetings. Just for the summer. The more I think about branch, the more I realize it's just like being a rep, a sales representative, with a few differences. How many of you have thought to yourself, man, if only somebody would set up my appointments for me, that would be awesome. Well, go branch, because if you go branch, you get to have a receptionist or two set up your appointments for you. Except the demos are interviewees, trainees, but of course there is still phone time, but it's PDI. It's talking to the representatives that you hire, that are calling you to ask you for tips and stuff. Inspiring, motivating them to do better. Now you may think I could never do that. Like, that's cool, I could never do that. But like, I could never conduct an interview as confidently as Jenna Paluzzi, right? I could never motivate somebody like Ryan Davrin motivates me. And again, the beauty of our training though, the beauty of our training is that you would be able to after the training. I think it's really cool. Again, similar to being a rep, we have a great training for managers too, except instead of a training manual for a knife presentation, it's a training notes for the training seminar, if that makes any sense. I'll rework that sentence for the next time I give this talk. And just like rep training, when you're new, you'll probably just read it and look up once in a while and pretend you know what you're doing. I still do that, really. Think about how great our rep training is, though. Raise your hand if you've sold a galley set, or a homemaker, or an ultimate set so far. Keep your hands up if you received extensive sales training, had a ton of sales experience before working here. That's our training. By the way, 2 month training? No, 3 days, right? $900 in kitchen knives. You told your friends that. I sold $900 in kitchen knives. What did your friends say? So anyway, imagine what you could do with like half of a weekend every month for 7 months. And that's what the branch manager training is like. I could never run training like Kyle Freeman. You guys think that? Well, that's a little different because that's true. Kyle is a freak of nature. This training is amazing. It's like memorized. It's like 18 hours long, memorized. The branch training program attracts some pretty impressive people. Brandon Brunel ran a marathon and won the Junior Olympics when he was 15. That's hot. The training is brilliant, by the way. And by the way, just because you go through the training doesn't mean you'll definitely be a branch manager next summer. But imagine going through the training, deciding not to become a branch manager next summer, and just having that on your resume. Yeah, I went through management. I was selected for management training. It'll help you, in an internship in your field or what have you next summer. Training is a ton of fun, by the way. Some of my fondest memories of Vector are going through training with like Nikki Trappin and like Ryan Dunphy. It's really a breath of fresh air when you're at school to be able to come back and like go through management training. Are people at school just kind of negative sometimes? Maybe you haven't realized it because now you've worked here, which we're crazy positive. But when you go back to school this fall, those of you that are students, it's going to be like, ugh. Everybody's complaining about the grade they got, their professors, oh, I gotta wake up so early for class, oh, I gotta study, it's just negative, right? I used to love just going back to management training just to get back into the energy and enthusiasm. It's funny though, after you go through the Vector training, you start to vectorize your friends at school or whatever. Right, it's like, dude, you got rejected by some chick. Asked her for a phone number, she was like, no. And then you say something like, hey, don't worry about it, man. It's a numbers game. Stick with it. Be confident. Memorize your clothes. The point is the training is awesome. Our training not only attracts great people, but develops some great people. And if you go through the training, you will develop into a dynamic individual. For most of our branch candidates, your training will be with Ryan Trembler. But for some of you that go to school far away, you can just train in a closer office to your school so you don't have to fly back. I think about Katie Capone, Nova Southeastern, got to train with a manager down there. Stacy Moritz, University of Florida, I believe. John Cunningham, University of Wisconsin, who's just up here. They teach you everything you need to know. And same as being a rep, there's a base pay and there's incentives. Except instead of like $15, $16 base pay, it's like, well, talk to your manager. The incentives are awesome though. Picture running your own office next summer. What would it look like? And you guys have to say that it's sketchy would be like a gross understatement for the office that you're in right now. Yeah, almost left the interview. What kind of music would you play? What would your team name and your silly chant be? That's fun things to think about. So it's managing an office, but really it's so much more than that. The leadership skills that I've gained are outstanding. The time management abilities now that I have are just unparalleled. Before I was a branch manager, my GPA in school was less than a 2.0. And after was a 3.87. Time management skills. Or I just got a lot smarter. It is so much fun, by the way, being a branch manager. The trips you can go on up into Orlando, fortunate enough to do that. I'll be going to Costa Rica this coming spring and also Puerto Rico, free. That doesn't sell.